Thanks for checking out Mornings with Lone Star podcast on irlonestar.com. Don't forget, Mornings with Lone Star is live every weekday on irlonestar.com from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., covering all things Texas country music and Montgomery County news, with weather and traffic at the top and bottom of every hour. You can call in at any time with a song request at 936-647-3776 or Facebook message us on Facebook or tweet us on Twitter. Mornings with Lone Star would like to say a special thank you to the sponsors of Mornings with Lone Star, our neighbors at Conroe Coffee in downtown Conroe, catering by All Star, Michal B. Young, financial representative with Northwestern Mutual in the Woodlands, and the Texas Renaissance Festival in Magnolia, Texas.
Practice has been in criminal court. I've represented clients at all levels of the criminal justice system, from traffic tickets all the way up to murder. I've tried numerous felony cases and have also represented clients in the Court of Appeals and in the Court of Criminal Appeals. The Court of Criminal Appeals is the criminal version of the Texas Supreme Court. We have two different courts for that. So I've also represented clients there. So that's my experience. Yes, it is. It makes me a unique fit for the Ninth District Court because it is a court of general jurisdiction. I'm the only candidate in my race who has represented clients in all of those different types of cases: criminal, civil, family, and juvenile. I'm also the only candidate who has represented both the state on the prosecution side and the defense on the criminal side. And so that gives me a unique perspective from both of my opponents. One of the things that you learn representing criminal defendants is that there really are two different types of people who are charged with crimes. There are good people who happen to have a really bad day, or sometimes good people who are charged with heinous crimes, but who are at their essence pretty good. And then there are people who would quite literally do our community harm. And you develop a sixth sense about which type of person that you're dealing with. And that's something unique that I bring to the voters, is I've had intimate discussions with people who I was literally afraid of. And then I've had intimate discussions with people who were charged with horrible crimes that you ultimately know that they have the ability to be rehabilitated. I've also had discussions with clients who were actually charged with pretty minor crimes, but who, in my dealings with them, you develop this sense about, man, this is actually a pretty scary individual that we do need to be careful of, even though what they are accused of doing is not that bad. It's like, wow, this person is very frightening to me. So that perspective is something that I bring the voters in Montgomery County.
Well, what's interesting to me about being a judge, especially in your position, is you've never been, like most lawyers have never been judges, so that transition, and especially the sitting in the chair and the perspective changes. And I always wondered, especially when we get some judges in here, which I hope we do, we get some judges, current judges, about how you look. I mean, because to me, we're the training wheels. There aren't training wheels. Like, you basically get voted in, and one day you're a lawyer, next day you're a judge. And
I think that that's a really good point. And as a judge, being a judge is, I have to imagine that it's somewhat isolating, because you have all of these people with whom you have had personal relationships with, other lawyers.
Now they want something from you.
Well, it's not even so much that they want something from you. It's that you have to remember that they're not your friend anymore. They're a litigant in your court. And that's something that's very important to me, is that as a judge, to remember that the people who are there, they are litigants. They are there with a constitutional right to be heard, and they're there with a constitutional right to be treated equally, no matter their station in this life. Whether they are a lawyer who works for the government, whether they are a lawyer that you used to have lunch with once a week, it's someone that you have to treat equally. And so one of the things that I think voters have to do is they have to really look at the experience of both of the parties and question whether they can disconnect themselves adequately from their prior role in order to be truly fair and impartial. But they also have to really question the experience of the parties, because, if you or a loved one were charged with, say, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, I think that you would, or if you were the victim of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, you would want for the judge who sits on the case to be have an intimate knowledge of the codes that apply, the different sections of the Texas government code, the penal code, all of those things that would affect punishment if the person were convicted. And I tell new clients all the time, and I would say that a lot of my clients who come into my office have never been charged with a crime before. And really what they're looking for is, as much as someone to advise them, is a shepherd through the system, because it's a closed community when you're outside of it. It's horribly scary and frightening. And one of the things a lot of people don't understand is that there are a lot of moving parts in criminal cases in particular. There's a lot of different agencies are involved, a lot of different elected officials who have a role to play in how things get done and when they get done. You know, and I'll give you an example. In a civil case, like a family law case, if there were a DNA test that were important in the outcome of a case, the parties would agree to use a certain lab, or they would each hire their own lab, and they could pay as much money as they wanted to in order to see that those DNA tests come back by a specific deadline. In a criminal case, the opposite is true. You're actually in part dealing with a government agency, the Texas Department of Public Safety, that has very limited resources and only a few people that are qualified to handle those tests. And so it's really impossible for the judge to go to the Department of Public Safety and say, you need to get this test to me, by this date. And to some extent, the Department of Public Safety is going to say, yeah, tell that to the other 500 district courts who have a deadline too. And so it's it's a different type of, how do I put this?
Well, it's a different type of court.
It's a different type of court, and you're dealing with so many different government agencies. And everybody knows about government agencies, right? We've all had experience at the DMV.
No, I actually have faith in our government, okay?
But it's a large bureaucracy that you're dealing with, as opposed to the ability to farm things out to whoever you want to farm them out to.
Yeah, and especially whoever's put in position, that's who you hope is doing a good job, and that's part of the reason why people vote, especially for the Ninth District Court. If you don't mind, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, what I want to know, especially with this Ninth District Court, if you're judge, what do you plan on doing besides being the greatest person you already are, but really with the future of this position and what you plan to do with it? Because it's kind of fun with all these different positions. People make promises and people make, this is what I want to do. But with being a judge, it sounds like all you really need is like, I'm going to be fair. And that's about it.
There's a lot more
to it.
That.
I feel like there is. So if you don't mind, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Sure.
I'm sitting with Nathan Arizzotti of Montgomery County Lifestyle, and our special guest for Meet the Candidates is Kate Shipman Bihm for Judge, 9th District Court. She's online, BIHM for Judge. It's bimforjudge.com. We got some music coming up, so stick around. Right now, we'll do some Josh Grider for you. This song's called You Dream, I'll Drive. You're listening to Mornings of Lone Star with Meet the Candidates.
Imagine a place where you can sip on Italian coffee and have a sandwich, followed by a fabulous, delectable pastry. We invite you to stop by Conroe Coffee to experience old world charm. Conroe Coffee is located next to the historic Creighton Theater in downtown Conroe. We are open 7 days a week. Please check our website for business hours at conroecoffee.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have a caffeinated day.
Hi, this is Catering Cody with All-Star Catering Company. We've been catering for Montgomery County since 2005. We are now offering take-home casseroles available for you to pick up Monday through Friday. To learn more, give us a call at 936-228-0440. Send an email to info@cateringbyallstar.com or check us out on Facebook at Catering by All-Star. So come on in and get your dinner tonight and feed your family the simple way with All-Star Catering.
Give it time there with Market Junction. Mornings at Lone Star here at irlonestar.com, Montgomery County's community radio station. Hanging out with Nathan Arizzotti of Montgomery County Lifestyle for Meet the Candidates. Right now we have Kate Shipman Bihm for Judge, 9th District Court for our last segment right before the Cindy Cochran Show. So Kate and I were talking about, with Nathan patiently listening, talking about what the court does and all the great things with the 9th District Court. And my question to her before we went to the music break was, what does she plan on doing with the court, and especially in the long run, what effective things can be happening? So if you don't mind, tell us about really, like, you're the judge. What do you do besides just maintain and being a good judge?
One of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to try a lot of cases in the first 1 or 2 years. There's a big backlog of cases in that court right now for a variety of different reasons. And so we're going to have to try a lot of cases very quickly. And I'm hoping that what will happen is that because I'm well respected by both the district attorney's office and the defense lawyers, that we'll be able to resolve a lot of those cases by trials to the court as opposed to jury trials, because people will believe that they'll be treated fairly, and that's a lot more efficient.
Would you say with the Ninth District Court, there's a lot more jury trials because of the cases? There are. And there's a number of different factors that go into why someone would choose a jury trial over a bench trial. And part of that is, some of it has to do with the judge. Some of it has to do with the parties and what they're looking for and what they're hoping for. So that's one of the things that we'll do very quickly. We will also change the way the court is operated on a day-to-day basis. One of the pledges that I have made is to reduce the number of times that inmates are transported to and from the county jail. One of the things I'd like to do is to set up a weekly docket that occurs at the county jail so that the sheriff's department does not have to transport those inmates back and forth. That is an expensive and time-consuming proposition. They have to get those guys up at like 3:30, 4:30 in the morning, feed them, get them on the chain, put them on a bus, bring them over to court. They go back and forth, and it's very expensive. It requires a lot of personnel, and it's very difficult. So I'm perfectly willing to go over. We do this now with misdemeanors. There's no reason why I can't do it with felonies. To set aside some time, there's a courtroom at the jail that's fully functional. Set aside some time to go over there and do that on a weekly basis. That will help reduce costs, and it will be much more efficient. I'd also like to change the number of dockets that the court has every week. For instance, this court right now doesn't have any dockets for the next couple of weeks. There's no reason for that. Daily dockets are important, and people should have. But why is that actually? Is there an answer?
I don't know.
Because that's something that's posted, correct? The dockets are posted. It's not just
absolutely. And look, judges are entitled. They're entitled to time off. They need time off. And in order for a judge to be effective, just like any other professional, they do need time to recharge their batteries. And being a judge is serious business.
Well, that doesn't mean necessarily you close the court. I mean, is that when you get a visitation judge?
That can be when you get a visiting judge. Yes, that can be when you get a visiting judge. So we need to have more frequent dockets, and we need those dockets organized in such a way that they promote the resolution of those cases. And the foundation of my candidacy and what I really want to bring to the court is the conservative principles of personal responsibility, accountability, and a smaller, more efficient government. And part of accountability is making sure that the parties are doing what they need to do in order to move cases through the docket. Because a judge can take kind of like a sit back and wait and see and, I assume they're doing the right thing. Or a judge can be very actively involved in those files and making sure that they are moving their way through the docket. A judge can make sure that paperwork is being timely prepared. They can instruct their staff to be in constant communication with the parties and their staff to make sure that things are being done in a timely manner. And that's what I will do. And that will improve efficiency in the court.
Yeah, because it sounds more of not just ruling fairly. You actually set up the actual structure.
You're exactly
of the court,
right.
And especially how to be effective. Because I know a hot button today with all the races, is especially the constables and with the sheriff and with you guys, is the jail. Mm-hmm. And overcrowding, and then getting these cases in and out.
The jail is not actually overcrowded right now.
For today.
Now, I believe
is there a counter on the internet I can watch?
You know what? You should talk to the sheriff's department about that, because I think that would be really interesting for people to be able to see. Or maybe Montgomery County Police Report. Somebody who reports on criminal justice in Montgomery County might do something like that as a service. But right now, the jail is not overcrowded. And recently, the jail was at a population of coming close to over 900, 1,000, which is what would be considered overcrowded. Mm-hmm. And lately, it's been in the 700s, which is a comfortable level. And part of that has to do with the way the cases were apportioned amongst the courts. We have 2 more courts now that are dedicated criminal courts. And so that's helped to keep the jail population lower.
And it sounds like with your system, it's going to be even more efficient, hopefully. Because you, like I said, the craziest thing about these positions, you've never been a judge, so you don't really know. And
I don't.
Do you look at anybody else's who's been a judge and what's been proven around the United States? What do they do that works so well and how do I implement some of their stuff? Because I imagine you're not just coming out of thin air like, let's revolutionize the jail and all this stuff. And
you can trust me to fix everything that needs to be fixed in the courthouse and in our criminal justice system. No, I think the thing is and this is another unique perspective that I bring to voters. I've represented clients in 14 counties in the state of Texas. Some of them small, some of them mid-size like ours, and some of them very, very large. And we have counties across the state that are doing things to increase efficiency that are remarkable. And so I bring that experience to the voter, but I also bring an intimate working knowledge of what our courts in Montgomery County are doing. And we have some courts that are more efficient than others. But I think it's important to point out that our judges work together as a team to make our courthouse the most efficient that it can possibly be. And one of the things that I promise to voters is that I will work with the other judges to do what needs to be done for the people of Montgomery County. So if that means that I have to work an extra day during the week to handle a docket for another judge, or if I have to, instead of having just a dead week because it happens to fall that way on my calendar, if I can hear a case for another judge, that's what I'm going to do. Because I think when you step forward to serve our county, you don't just step forward to serve our county in the 9th District Court. You step forward to serve the courthouse, and that's what I'm going to do my best to do.
Well, let's transition to what you're currently doing as the campaign. We're going back to campaign time. We're going to close out this segment pretty soon. So please let people know like where they can find you, if you have any fundraising events, and then also if you just want to keep talking about how cool you are.
Sure. Well, obviously I'm very cool. Yeah. Let's just put that out there. But we have a fundraiser coming up. It's Mardi Gras and Mudbugs. It's going to be at Fishtails in Conroe on Dallas Street, February 6th from noon to 4. We're going to be selling boiled shrimp, crawfish by the pound, chicken strips for the kids if they're not into the seafood thing. We'd love to see everybody come out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, who doesn't love crawfish and boiled shrimp, right?
Yeah, they recently opened.
Yeah, so I think they did.
I've eaten there before.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it. My husband and I are both crawfish enthusiasts, so this seems like something that,
People give you weird looks if you're not. I've realized that. I'm like, oh, sorry. I like them, but I'm not an enthusiast about it.
Well, but you don't necessarily have to be an enthusiast. Of course, if you're not that into them, it's a little easier if you have somebody peel them for you. But you can also find me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/BIM for Judge and on my website at bimforjudge.com. People can email me at bimforjudge@gmail.com. And, I'm very active and involved in the community. I'm a member of Conroe Noon Lions Club, and also have been very active and involved in my kids' booster club. So I just encourage people that when they see me if you've seen my picture on Facebook, or if you see me driving through town in my pickup truck and you see the signs on the side and go, oh, that must be her, walk up and shake my hand. I would love to meet you and love to hear what people's concerns are about the 9th District Court and
might as
the
well
Montgomery
start brown nosing.
Well,
right?
No, it's not about brown nosing.
So.
It really is. It's about meeting people so that they can, the hard thing about being a judge is we can't have a real platform. We can't say what we could do, what we will do. We can't say, oh, if someone's charged with X, I will do Y. And so what voters have to do is they have to research our qualifications and they have to get to know us. And I think they kind of have to see our hearts a little bit and see what we're about, why we're running for judge, and what we're going to bring to the table. And that's how they have to make their decision. And so I'm hoping that I can meet as many people that I can because I believe I am the right person for the job. And what I promise to the voters of Montgomery County is that I will be truly fair and impartial, and my experience gives me a unique perspective in that. I will be independent of other elected officials and special interest groups, and I want to stand up for what is right, and I want to defend our laws and our Constitution because that's what judges are sworn to do. I am passionate about the law. I'm excited about it. I'm one of those dorks who sits at home in the evening and reads, the new opinions that came out that day. And, my husband is like, oh, you're such a dork. And I'm like, but it's so exciting. And he's like, only to you, honey, only to you.
Well, the way I see it is ammo. That's what it is.
Well, absolutely. And, one of the things that I bring to voters, too, is I have had an active trial practice for the last 12 years. And being in trial is a lot like playing golf. If you haven't done it for a while, you do get rusty at it. And the law changes. And so you have to be a student of the law to really stay up on things, to know what is the right thing to do and what is the correct application of the law. And so I believe that our judges have to use wisdom and discernment in making their rulings. And I got into this because I really do want to do justice. And I want to be merciful when it is appropriate, but I also want to protect the public from those who would harm us. And I have represented people and have prosecuted people who absolutely would protect the public and that perspective, or who would harm the public. And so I bring that perspective to voters and the ability to know the difference between the two. But I also want to really walk humbly in service to the people of Montgomery County and to do the right thing. I think that our judges are doing the right thing and are probably doing their best when they're not in the paper. I want to bring some dignity back to the 9th District Court and to make it a court again that the public feels like they can trust. And I think that there's some of that has been lost. And I want to bring that back. And so on March 1st, when voters go to the polls, if they vote for me, they can know that this court is in good hands and that you have someone on the bench who is going to work hard for them and is going to make sure that their rulings reflect the conservative, law-abiding but compassionate mindset that is really part of who we are.
Kate Shipman Bihm for Judge, 9th District Court, BIMforJudge.com. Thank you so much for coming in and being part of Meet the Candidates.
And remember, on March 1st, vote for Bihm, not for him.
There you go. Why'd you point to Nathan?
There's 2 hymns.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't really get the joke, but I'll probably get it
in my
after
race,
this.
my opponents are both men.
Oh.
Yes, I'm the only lady in the race.
Well, that doesn't mean I'm going to change my mind. No, but again, thank you so much for coming in. Nathan, again, Montgomery County Lifestyle, be my co-host. If you don't mind letting the audience know what's going on next week, because we will be back on Monday at 9 a.m. for Meet the Candidates. So do you know who we got?
Abso-degum-lutely. Monday morning, we have Rusty Fincher, candidate, constable, Precinct 1 up in Willis. Wednesday, we have Eric Yalik, also a candidate for the 9th. Then on Thursday, we have the effervescent, clean-shaven, funny guy, County Judge Craig Doyle. He's going to be talking about the state of the
brown nose and brown nose.
He was just here. Brown nose. Dude, he shaved his beard because he knew he couldn't compete with me. Just saying. Amy knew it. Amy told me. That's what it was. But Craig is going to be in here to talk about the state of the county, what's going on.
Okay. I'm excited about that.
Huge things that they just saved the county millions. And then on Friday, we have Chuck Meyer, who is candidate for judge in the 410th. Yep. 410th.
There we go. All right, we're lined up.
Tuesday's open, but I'm working on a special guest appearance.
If you need me, I'd be more than happy to
throwing
come back.
her hat.
Can you
I'm
sing?
just saying. I do sing, actually. I'm a classically trained soprano vocalist.
Oh, man, I wouldn't wishing she would have actually said that. But maybe, hey, we'll see what we can do. But again, thanks
we
you.
could have an hour of patriotic music if you want.
Gross. No, that'd be interesting. But again, thank you for everyone coming in, and also you listener tuning in. We're going to be podcasting every 9 o'clock, Meet the Candidates, so keep an eye on our SoundCloud, on YouTube. Right now is 9:53. Coming up next on Lone Star Internet Radio, we got a good lineup. We got the Cindy Cochran Show at 10 o'clock, and then later in the evening we have at 1 p.m. with the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. They're going to be in the studio with, I believe, Amy Ressler, and also Yvonne Welter will be in the studio with Better Living for Texans. So tune in. That's going to be at 1 o'clock with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. If you didn't know, their building is right across from the Lone Star Convention Center, and they do a lot in this county, and especially for the people. So stick around. We got some more music coming on until the Cindy Cochran Show. Here's some Aaron Woods Band, Feels Like Rain. There's a lot of rain songs these days on Lone Star, but I hope you enjoy them. Thanks you for listening, and Cindy Cochran's coming up at 10 o'clock.
Thank you for checking out a podcast on Lone Star Internet Radio. Lone Star Internet Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station, broadcasting from the heart of Conroe, Texas. If you are interested in sponsoring a program for Lone Star Internet Radio, just visit us online at irlonestar.com. or message us on Facebook. We are always taking song requests on Twitter, and if you are interested in getting involved with the station by either hosting your own show or if you want to be a DJ, just contact Dick at irlonestar.com. Lone Star Internet Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station.